Welcome back. Yoram Ettinger is a man we often turn to for an analysis of what's happening in the Middle East, and it is particularly timely to do so today, as there are reports that we may be hearing very shortly by administration and other sources that a deal has been finalized with the Iranians, one that would have very ominous implications, as we were just discussing with Fred Fleitz, not just for us, but also for friends and allies in the Middle East, most especially the State of Israel, from which Ambassador Yoram Ettinger hails. He served his country as the representative to the Congress for the government of Israel for a time with the rank of ambassador. He is an extraordinary resource, and we're always delighted to have a chance to chat with him. Mr. Ambassador, welcome back. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
I guess I'd like to get sort of your overall sense. You've written about stage one policy thinking, and I'd like you to sort of define the term and how it applies to what's going on here at the moment.
The current negotiation between President Obama and the Ayatollahs is a reflection of short-sightedness, namely stage one thinking rather than long-term thinking. It's a reflection of the president's policy, which has always subordinated reality to hope, or better yet, to more accurately, to wishful thinking. And here we have a case where the president hopes that the Ayatollahs shall be reasonable. He hopes that the Western world will be able to contain a nuclear Ayatollah. He hopes that they will utilize the benefits to enhance their economy while ignoring the 36-year-old track record of the Ayatollahs, which contradicts completely his short-sightedness policy, his stage one policy.
Our guest is Ambassador Yoram Ettinger. We're catching up with him in Israel, which is his home. He is describing for us stage one thinking, and by that I take it you mean that you don't get past stage one to think about some of the more troubling stage two or secondary, tertiary kinds of concerns. And to the extent that what's going on here is not just wishful thinking, Mr. Ambassador, but a kind of ideologically driven determination to build up Iran, to actually see it serve as a role of regional hegemon at the expense of quite a number of American interests and allies, most especially the State of Israel. This would seem to be truly fraught with peril.
Well, I would say that the ideology exhibited by the president from day one, January 2009, has been the ideology of non-American exceptionalism and the victory of multilateralism over unilateral American military or foreign policy or national security policy action. And therefore he defers to a multilateral so-called world view, which is not the home court of Western democracies, is not the home court of America's interest or the America's allies' interest. This is an ideology also which takes off from the table, removes from the table the stick of military threat. Military threat is not war, but as far as, again, the ideology of Obama, you have to engage rather than confront rogue regimes, and that would be similar to a police chief which decides to order his policemen to take down their guns and not to use tasers or rubber bullets or any other form of clamping down on the mob. Instead, to talk to them. You cannot expect to rehabilitate rogue regimes or rogue individuals without the threat or the stick of a surgical military option.
And this is one of the questions that I wanted to ask of you, Ambassador Yoram Ettinger, now with the Second Thought, a U.S.-Israel initiative in Israel. When you look at what's happening here, are you concerned that the deal, as it has developed, is creating not only an emboldened Iran, an Iran that will have considerably greater capacity, not just the nuclear weapons program probably, but more money with which to pursue its terrorism, its subversion, its assaults on Israel, its help to proxies who are actively engaged in attacks on Israel, but that it is actually going to further impede the use of the stick, if I can use that expression, by Israel by creating this kind of international legitimacy patina to what's going on here, including the nuclear program itself in Iran.
Well, I would say that any agreement with Iran, which is not preconditioned upon a dramatic transformation of the nature of the conduct of the Ayatollah's regime, would resemble a death pill to whatever is left of sanity, stability, predictability in the Middle East and throughout the world. It's going not only to embolden Iran, but certainly is going to embolden all rogue regimes, certainly would embolden the chief rivals of the U.S. in the global arena, the Russians and the Chinese, and certainly would condemn to death any hope of regime change inside Iran.
Mr. Ambassador, let me ask you, you've spent a lot of time in this country and are very knowledgeable about our political system, particularly the ways of Capitol Hill. It would appear to me that the president, having, as Michael Oren has now documented at length in his new book, Ally, the degree to which the president has manipulated and really treated appallingly badly, not just your prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, but Israel more generally and American Jewry, that the president is nonetheless now going to be counting on American Jews, or at least those that are particularly influential with Democratic members of Congress, to support his new deal with Iran, assuming it is completed here shortly. Should American Jews view this as anything other than an affront and support the president on this deal, or should they reject it out of hand?
I don't think it's necessarily a Jewish issue or Israeli-oriented issue. It's an American issue. You have here a policy, again, beginning January 2009 until today, a systematic policy which is detached from global reality, therefore undermining unprecedentedly U.S. posture of deterrence, the U.S. power projection, and the U.S. role in the international arena, bringing war closer to the American mainland. We have here a policy which jeopardizes vital American interests. And the question that each American legislator, House member or senator, should ask him or herself between now and the next 60 days is, do they want to partake in sparing the globe a nuclear war, or do they want to collaborate with an erroneous policy which leads towards a global nuclear war?
Mr. Ambassador, we have to leave it at that. Yoram Ettinger, as always, we appreciate the work you are doing today and that you have rendered to both of our countries, really, over your illustrious career. Come back to us again very soon. Next up, Nolan Peterson, a combat special forces pilot and journalist, now with the Daily Signal, reports on what's happening in Ukraine and what might it mean for all of us. Straight ahead.